Welcome to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Gee, I hope I didn't make a mistake with these two. They promised me they'd bring in some really good guests. Well, anyway, here's Frank and Irene.
Welcome to Mother May I podcast with Mr. Frank Conniff. I'm Irene Bremis, and up top, that was the lovely melody of our girl, Frank, Ms. Gabby Glazer, formerly of Luscious Jackson. She was the guitarist. She's very sweet for letting us use that little musical clip. Frank, how is Millie doing after the 4th of July? It's always like PTSD Vietnam for our pets. How is she doing? Seriously.
Oh, she's doing fine. She doesn't mind the fireworks that much.
Really?
Yeah, she it's thunder that freaks her out.
Right, and she's used to you going number 2 in a frenzy.
Exactly.
It's always 4th of July.
But she's she made it through better than me, I think. I fell into kind of a depression over the holiday weekend because like last year it was the lockdown, and that's why I wasn't invited to any 4th of July parties.
Okay.
This year, we've gone back to me not being invited because people don't like me. So things are back to normal, but it's a little hard.
That is not fair that you make me laugh at a self-deprecating joke when I love you more than anybody and everyone combined. First of all, I just muscled my way into a party, actually, Frank.
Oh, you went to a party?
I went to a party. It was it wasn't really, it was like a meatball party. But Frank, I'm never doing anything. Every 4th of July, I'm at home. I do nothing on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Believe me. So but I love the way that you said that. But I'm going to be using the lockdown as an excuse for years to come. I'm just going to say that it was like it sort of like just made me lazy.
That's the thing now that's weird, is that I'm still living a lockdown life, but it's okay for me to go out. So now it's like on me to do something and not be stuck inside my head like I always am, and to go out and do things. I got booked for a couple of comedy shows.
Yay!
But other than that,
Darlings. Hey, now, we didn't have any sort of a segue into this whatsoever. Can I give us a swooning introduction for you?
I would love that.
I love you so much. Am I allowed to do that? Our guest is not only one of the funniest women that I know in this business, and not only a dear friend who I've known forever in this goddamn business has made it better. She's an extraordinary comedian. She's a speaker, actress, author. And not only that, you're also one of the most altruistic people that I know. And we really need to start talking about this. I did not realize this until I actually IMDb'd you and saw that you have started a foundation that I knew nothing about in 2016 called the Foster Russell Family Foundation for mentoring, and then you also did something else called the Inversity, about bringing people together in diversity. Do you rest? When do you rest?
I don't. That's why I currently have a pinched nerve in my back.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention her name, Karith Foster. Karith, meet my lovely, beautiful, funny co-host, Mr. Frank Conniff.
Hi, Karith. Thank you.
Frank, how are you, darling?
Good, thank you.
I am so glad to see both of your faces. It has been way too long.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God! So what's going on? No wonder your back is hurting you. What's the situation?
Well, so I'm just coming off of like holiday, right? Like the first real vacation I feel like anybody had in 2 years, because everybody's just been on high alert, right? It's
right. Yeah. Frank was actually saying the opposite. He was saying that he's still in lockdown since lockdown.
Well, I know I'm supposed to be out of lockdown, but my lockdown habit hasn't gone away yet, and I know now it's up to me to get out of the house and do something.
Got him. Got it, Frank.
Up to me to go see him, and we need to hang out. And I'm going to stop being lazy with travel. It's terrible. But
I just went to Minnesota. It was wonderful. Minnesota was amazing.
Oh, well, you were. I lived in Minnesota for 10 years.
Where?
I lived in Minneapolis.
Yeah, well, we flew into Minneapolis, and then so I did some work for one of the nations. It's the Ojibwe Nation, and they, Native Americans, and they have a corporation called Mille Lacs Corporation, and they are one of the top employers, like the largest employer for Northeast Minnesota. And they have a bunch of businesses and corporations. So I spoke for their leadership development conference, and then spent a week with my children and the Aussie. at a lake, at a log cabin.
They've got a lot of them there.
Sounds heavenly. I can't. Children. I remember you had the one and you were shocked, and now it's children.
I know.
Two. And now they're getting older. How old are they now?
They're 8. Well, yeah, 8 and 7. So
8 and 7. Wow. Karith, I can't believe it. It feels like yesterday when you were pregnant on stage telling jokes. I'm serious.
I know.
Like
trust me, it feels that way to me too. It goes so fast. I mean, everything goes so fast. It really does. And I think like, except 2020 seemed to last for like 5 years.
That was a long.
That did. Now, did you find, I mean, I'm sure it was very harrowing for you, like the rest of the mom crew, with the children at home and trying to balance that out, and your own career and your hubby. How was that? That must have been
crazy. Yeah. I mean, you get thrust, right, basically into homeschool. And I think it was Hillary, but other people said it too, Hillary Clinton, but like, it takes a village to homeschool a child. Mm-hmm. Well, it takes a village to raise a child. Uh-huh. It takes a vineyard to homeschool one. Okay.
I love that. I love that one. I can appreciate that because it takes a vineyard just to keep me happy from Staten Island. So no one understands that more than I do. And I love it. And I'm going to have to use it. And I'll always credit you with it. But I love that. So it's true. So your kids are now back in action. They're on vacation now.
Yeah, well, we're just kind of keeping with the homeschool thing. And we may actually, I know it sounds crazy, but we may actually keep doing it. Yeah, I just, I want them to be critical thinkers. I want them to not just be indoctrinated into like a set system. I don't want them to think they're supposed to be worker bees. I mean, look at us. Look at all the things that we do. Like, we are so non-traditional, right? Mm-hmm. And who says that you have to be on like a certain path to go and work in an office and like start your own company? Like, they actually started a company with their dad. And they're managers in the corporation.
Your kid?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I was such a slacker. I think I was still like eating my own shit at that age. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like until 10 I was eating my own poo-poo. Wow. That's insane. So they're being like, almost like they're getting like this crazy one-on-one mentoring. So for you, it's not like this overwhelming situation. It sounds like it's less chaotic and more.
It's always going to be overwhelming. It's children. That doesn't change anything.
It doesn't. But how are you wrangling this? So your husband he's
been the main homeschooler. So I'm really appreciative of that, because I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one who like has the speaking career and, getting out there and doing corporate events and teaching. And, I wrote my book. And, that came out in 20. So that was a good thing that came out of 2020. You can be perfect or you can be happy.
Well, what is it called? Laughing Your Way to Happiness? Is that the book?
So that was the first book. That was just kind of an accelerate, what's the word? Accessory? It's not accessory, but like to a speaking program I created. But
wow,
you can be perfect, you can be happy. Oh, I don't have a copy on me.
It's always amazing. You're always so positive. If I wrote a book, it would be laugh until you cry. Cry some more.
I write books, but they have no redeeming social value.
How dare you, Frank? How dare you? Cats versus Frank. What is it called? Cats v. Frank Conniff. I love that book. Okay, go ahead. Let's see your book, sweetie. I want to take a look at this.
You know what? Here, I got it.
Fancy cover. You're always.
Hold on.
I just know, Karith, and while you're looking for the book, I just want to say that I've never known this girl to not be positive. No matter what she's doing, there's always a very altruistic, positive spin. I think
green screen is
going into the green screen. So right there. Okay, so you can be perfect or you can be happy. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And you know what? Some really fabulous people wrote intros to it. Like Janice Dean from Fox News, the meteorologist, who's like a badass. Our late friend Erica Watson, she wrote something for me. So yeah, it's just basically a book about, like, it debuted in the top 15 for personal transformation books on Amazon's bestseller list.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Incredible. Congratulations.
It's a fun book. It's lots of stories and laughter, but it's also about how can I just live my best life without being condescending
and the best version of myself. I mean, I haven't read it, but just not the pressure of always having to be perfect, because if you're perfect, how are you supposed to break out and be unique?
If you're perfect, everyone is going to fucking hate you. So don't be perfect.
Seethingly jealous. Good point, Frank.
Everyone will,
I'll send you an autographed copy.
you know, I don't know of any perfect people, but if they were, no one would hang around with them because,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
no one wants to be around that.
Right. I think people just love, and this is so great. And I'm noticing this more and more, especially with the people that I'm friends with, just being more vulnerable, being more open about our imperfections so that we can connect to one another and make each other feel like we're not alone. So it's less.
That's exactly it. That's exactly right. Like,
right.
You know, being real, being authentic, being vulnerable, like you said, which I think as comedians, we all completely get, because comedy, as far as I'm concerned, is the most vulnerable art form that exists on this planet.
Yeah.
That's right. It's true. And I love that you said that, because sometimes, you know, I'm like, why am I doing this again? That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You know, because it does take a certain, you know, you do have to be open. You have to make yourself vulnerable, which is not an easy thing to do. So what other, like for somebody that's under the, you know, because there's just so much pressure today with social media to be perfect. There's so much comparing and despairing going on. Everybody, you know, it's like no one's staying in their own lanes. Everybody's looking over here. I have to remind myself, stay in your own lane. Stop looking to the right, to the left. Now, what kind of advice would you give somebody in that book about like just self-acceptance? Like,
well, I mean, you kind of said it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, stop comparing, stop judging.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you judge, what you're basically saying is my way is the right way. It's the only way. Have an opinion. Just flip it to have an opinion. Because guess what? Opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but also like be kind to yourself. Be kind. We wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say stuff to ourselves that we would never allow anybody else to say to us.
Right.
We'd be appalled.
Wow, that's really, that's
right?
That's pretty deep. Yeah. I mean, actually that's really poignant, and I never thought of it that way. Usually I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, not you again. You're right. That's like my first thought. We don't realize this. Now, I read somewhere, and Frank and I probably have more, especially you, Frank. We have like 70,000 negative thoughts a day going through our heads. This is what I read.
How many?
70,000.
Oh,
I think guys have like 30,000.
People have that few. Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, and you have to train yourself. It's like a muscle, right? It's like when you get up on stage, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and you remember you're set, and like, oh, I don't say that word there. It's like, oh, I just like put myself down. Let me counter that. Like, no, you actually are amazing and incredible. Like, but you have to. It's like going to the gym, which you know, because you're like the most fit person I know with the most amazing.
You're right, Karith. You're right. And what people don't understand is your mind is the strongest. Your brain is the strongest muscle that you have. You know,
it is. And can I also share something else that I just found out within the past 6 months? And this is why I think the work that I do is so powerful, because it's not just about like your mind, right? It's about your heart. And do you know that the heart isn't just like this muscle that pumps blood? The heart actually has over 40,000 neuroreceptors that think, feel, and react independently from our brain. It's a little brain. And this is done, I mean, these studies came out like fairly recently as far as science, but like 1991 was when the scientists realized this. 1994 was when Oxford Press University published it. And so the idea is, you know, we can't just try to change people's minds. We have to change their hearts too. If we really want things to happen in the world, there has to be a heart-mind connection. And what is between the heart and the mind? Our mouths. So how we speak and the words we use and the way we communicate, like that's what seals the deal.
Right.
We use our mouth to eat steak. That's what makes the heart have problems.
Yeah, that's why he had a clogged up thing. That makes a lot of sense when you were going through that cold ass bitch. No, I'm just kidding, Frank. Frank actually had a quadruple bypass. So I was going to say that.
Frank?
That's what, there was. Yeah, he's look at him now, though, huh?
Wow, that's amazing. Oh my goodness, great.
Oh, thank you. Well, the surgeon told me your heart is like a brain. So when we're done, you're going to be really fucking stupid. I hope you remember that.
Well, I was thinking that was the case before, but you were never fucking stupid. And you always are one of the people that have the biggest hearts in this business. I love you so much. He's a lovely guy. But you're right. And there is that mind to heart connection, and also the mouth. And also, while we're at it, actions. Okay. The idea that we are not only talking about it, we're actually going to get motivated enough to make a change. And make a difference in the world. And I think it's amazing since I've known you, and I've known you for, I want to say that I've known you for over 20 years.
Absolutely.
We started out together.
It's definitely been at least that long.
At least that long. And you've always been somebody who just always, and Frank and I have talked to newer comics. We had this one young guy that was going to start doing comedy over the lockdown. And we always say that you need to do more than just one thing. Bring all your talents together, which you're clearly doing, which is Frank is clearly doing. And I wish there was a place for masterbation in comedy. I'd be fucking a star, really. I would. But
I bring all my, I multi-leveled with me. I bring my sense of humor and my self-loathing, and I bring them both together.
And self-loathing is a very tricky thing, because Karith was just talking about, like, the idea of being self-loathing on stage and laughing at yourself is so much different than actually being self-loathing when you're looking in the mirror. Because when you're doing it on stage, you're being funny. What you're doing is you're connecting to people, and you're being inviting, and you're saying, you're okay. It happens to me. It's love. I feel that's love.
You're not alone. You're not alone. We all feel this way.
We all feel the same way. Exactly. And that's why when some people are like, that self-deprecating bit, you really need to stop doing that. I'm like, you know what? Don't be condescending. That self-deprecating bit is why people are going to relate to what I'm saying, are going to relate to what Frank is saying.
And what we were just saying about nobody wants to be around a perfect person. Nobody wants to see a comedian talk about how perfect
how great their life is. I mean, where the hell is the funny in that? Can I tell y'all what happened over the break? Well, when everything started happening, the kids got pulled out of school. They're like, oh, they don't have any friends anymore. At least they had each other. But they're like, can we get hamsters? So I'm like, well, I don't know. Do your research. So I made them. They're 6. At the time they were 6 and 8. Or 7. And I'm like, okay, you guys got to do your research, because I'm not just bringing animals. We found out hamsters are assholes.
They are.
Yeah. They are. But gerbils, on the other hand, are not.
Yeah. Right. Gerbils like assholes. I'm sorry. That was a bad reference. Sorry.
I cannot believe you went there. Actually, I can. So we get these gerbils, right? And we get this gerbil cage that I swear to God was nicer than my New York City apartment. It was like 4 levels. It was like these gerbils are living their best life.
Right.
And I was like, just be careful. One of them's gonna die early. I'm like, no. We're feeding them. We're cleaning their cage. Well, one day we're cleaning the cage, and the Aussie, who's Mr. Outdoorsy, is like, they need fresh air. They need sunshine. Everything needs vitamin D. So they're in their little plastic balls, and he takes them outside and puts them in the grass where they can't run around. But it was still Texas. It was still sunny, even though it was November, and it was after the blue moon, after Halloween. And the black one, my daughter comes in, she's like, Mom, did gerbils sweat? I'm like, I don't know. I should have taken it. So she comes out, she's like, Mom, something's wrong with chocolate. It was chocolate, the black one, and peanut was the blonde one. And my little one, it was chocolate, she's like, Mom, she goes, this is the worst thing ever. She starts crying like a Spanish telenovela. She's like, chocolate, you were my best friend. You were the only person I could talk to. My older daughter is calling my husband she accuses him of gerbicide. She's like, you've killed chocolate. You're a murderer. And he's cussing up a storm because he feels like shit. And I'm like holding this gerbil. I pull it out of the thing. I'm doing like chest compressions.
Oh no.
Right? Contemplating mouth.
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
So dead. That's like almost, I can't, if anybody asked me like what the worst way to die is, I would say being trapped in a tube that's plastic in the baking sun. Frank?
It was like being in a car with the windows up. I was like, what are you thinking? And so I'm so pissed, but we were better than the Jews. We had that gerbil in the ground in an hour and a half.
Wow. So chocolate left this world. Wow.
Chocolate. But we're like, okay, because you got to replace them, because if one has the house without the other one, it'll get very territorial. So you can't just introduce. So we're like trying to find a replacement. But the problem is by the way, I don't know if you know this, but there's because of COVID, there's a wood shortage now. There's a refrigerator shortage. There's a tapioca. Well, there's a gerbil shortage too, apparently.
Wow.
Really? Are you kidding me?
I swear to God.
You just added to that.
I'm not making this up, Irene.
Oh my.
So my husband's like calling all over trying to find a fucking gerbil. And finally he reaches, we're in Dallas right at the moment, and he reaches a place in San Antonio that breeds them. They only have males. So I hear my husband on the other end go, can you get a gerbil vasectomy? Now, you don't know who you've married until you've been married a few years. Like, you just don't
Right.
know. And when I heard that, I'm like, holy shit, that's who I married. I might have thought it, but I would have never let those words come out of my mouth. So I go, he hangs up. I go, what did the person on the other end say? He goes, well, they said first that nobody had ever asked them that question. I'm like, you're kidding. So then he said, but they know somebody who's done it. I go, okay, but they said it's really expensive. I go, how expensive? He goes, well, like $500 or $600.
Wow.
If you can find a vet to do it.
My
First of all,
God.
can you imagine how tiny the little instruments have to be?
Yeah,
to
have to be to actually get in there and do it. And for a gerbil that clearly you guys are not prepared for and is probably going to suffer another horrendous death. No, I'm just kidding, sweetie.
No,
I mean,
I know. But I was like, no,
The
$500 or
moral-
$600, that's 17 gerbils. No, 70. We're not getting it. We're not, no.
Yeah, the moral of this story is don't get gerbils.
Yeah, please don't get gerbils. And if you do, don't trap them in the hot sun with a cylinder. But the vasectomy question, that is something. That it really
Pretty
is
brilliant.
something. I love that he went right there, like almost like thinking like a woman. I'm sure you've asked him to get a vasectomy after the
He's
second
Australian.
child.
I did. I did.
Yeah.
And you would have thought I said I was going to do it myself with nail clippers, the way he reacted.
Well, that is insulting.
It's
Nail
much
clippers,
better.
honestly.
It's better than asking. It's better than asking if can I use the gerbil to perform a vasectomy on me? You know, that would be really bad.
Okay, that would be really bad. We're taking this all over the place, okay? I like how far we're going with this. So the kids now have learned a valuable lesson, you know?
Yeah, don't trust daddy with the gerbils.
Don't trust daddy with the gerbils,
Yeah.
okay? But just be glad that they're only getting a gerbil and they're not asking for a dog, you know?
Well, they want one of those now. I'm like, no. We
That-
travel too much. So we got a cat and we got 2 gerbils. Oh, we did get a replacement gerbil, thanks to Gaga.
Wait a minute, we got a cat? Does that mean that your cat is
No,
no
we
longer
had
with
a cat. We had a
You
cat
did?
already.
It scares me.
And
Okay,
we
it
have
died natural death?
No, cat's good. Cat's like almost
Oh.
just over 2 years old.
Yeah.
Cat's good. But you know what? She goes outside and catches bunnies and she'll bring them in through the doggy door. And the other day, she brought a baby bunny in, which is always like breaks my
Oh
heart.
my God.
And she
Dead?
literally started to like rip its fur off in front of the gerbil's cage. Like, if I get
Oh
to
my
you,
God.
this is what's happening. But
Well,
she's a total bitch.
She's a total bitch. My God, that's what,
I've
go
had
ahead.
nothing but domestic apartment cats my whole
Yeah.
life. When you let them out into the wild, they're killers. You know,
Yeah.
they're predators. I've heard most of the stories I've heard of them. They capture birds and they bring them back and they present them to
As
their
a present, yes.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
They
like a
can't get on
trophy.
Amazon.
Yeah, it's like they're like a trophy. I've seen what cats can do. I've seen what they did with my husband's socks. It wasn't pretty, you know, mangled, giving it to me as a gift. And I'm like, take it back. I don't want this. It's disgusting. But you're right. Cats are predacious. That's what they do. If they see a bird or a cute little bunny, chances are they're going to rip it to shreds and think that you're going to reward them for it. You know, it's
Unless you make them apartment cats.
right.
And they lose
Right,
that instinct because one time when I lived in LA, my previous 2 cats, I was driving home and I saw my front door. I left my front door open with my cats in the house.
Wow.
And I freaked out. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are they going to be lost? And I get in and they're just like crouching behind the couch, scared out of their minds.
Like, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're not
We're
going,
not
out
going
there.
anywhere, really. So they wouldn't. So you don't think that they just, you know, because we had a house cat and when she was outside, she did try to kill a couple of birds.
Right.
So your cat's
That's because you did let it go outside, though. I mean,
well, he was afraid of the outside actually, but she just went right on the tippy top. Yeah, you're right. Whereas Millie or Barney wouldn't even go outside, you're saying.
Yeah, my cats, they don't go anywhere. They're Emily Dickinson. They stay home.
I just can't do the litter box thing. If I could do litter boxes, I would. I just can't do it. So I'm like, you better learn to use
awkward,
outside.
but you know, it's awkward, but you get, oh, you're talking about cats using the litter.
Yeah, right, Frank. Come on, Frank. I could see the cat getting annoyed with you, Frank, right? So listen, we're at the end of the half hour already. I know that you have a doctor's appointment. I just want to know what you're doing. I know that you tell us a little bit about before you go about this inversity that I found so
compelling. So inversity is the word that I coined, and it's a philosophy and a methodology, and it's the idea that, you know how like diversity is such a big thing, especially in a post George Floyd era. Well, I don't think we'd be here if we've been doing diversity right in the first place. So instead of dividing people up further and polarizing people, let's shift the focus from what separates and divides us to what do we have in common? How can we be truly inclusive of one another? But most importantly and powerfully, how can we be introspective? Meaning understanding your value, your worth, your connection to humanity. Because when you can see those things in yourself, that's when you can see them in someone else. And that's what inversity is all about. So I take this idea to colleges and universities and to corporations and create a space, not a safe space, but a brave space for the conversations that need to be had without them being demeaning or exclusive. You know, like everybody should have a voice, and we're not all coming from the same place. We've had different experiences, but that doesn't discount someone else's. And I think if you're just gonna, you know, say, well, you're quote unquote diverse, so you get to talk, you're not, so you have to shut up and sit there. Like, I don't think that's how we get anything done. That's not how we make progress.
Right. That's beautiful. And that's, you know, it's so important to remember and note that self-love equals loving others. If you do not love yourself, you really won't be able to effectively love others. You have to love yourself first. I don't know if I believe that because I pretty much can't stand myself 90% of the time. And I really love you guys. So
I love you so much. I miss you so much.
I miss you. So how can people follow you and see you?
Yeah, I'm literally, I don't know how many other Kariths you know, but karith.com. Here's my website. I'm under, you know, Karith Foster on social media. You know, I don't do too much on Pinterest because that does annoy me because I do compare myself when I shouldn't, but I see people making like, you know, entire Thanksgiving dinners out of toilet paper rolls. I'm like, how did you do that?
Doesn't sound too tasty, I have to be honest.
And it looks delicious though, Frank. They managed to do it. They pulled it off. But yeah, no, I'm on Instagram and Twitter and yes, and Inversity Solutions is too under Inversity S. So yeah, if anybody, you know, has a corporation or an organization they want me to come talk to and spread the love instead of the hate, I'm more than happy to do that.
Because you have a lot of love to give. And just last before you go, I want the title of that book once again, because I think that's very poignant, important today, especially with everything going on. Please pick it up. You Can Be Perfect or You Can Be Happy. And you can find that
on Amazon or even on my website.
Awesome. All right.
You have to text me your address. I'll send you guys a signed
copy. Oh my gosh, I would love it. Yes, I'm in. Thank you so much, Karith. It's always so good to see you. I absolutely love and adore you.
Give my love to Michelle.
I certainly will. She knows how she loves you, and we'll talk soon, sweetie.
I'm so glad you're doing well.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, sweetie. Always. Oh, and right on. Listen, I'm not going to miss my intro this time, to segue into our next guest, who's one incredible girl. I've known her forever. We worked together since the beginning of time. You've seen her. She's hysterical. She performs everywhere. You've seen her in Stand Up 360 Inside Out. She's been in the D Word. She's done so much. I love her. She tells it. She's a straight shooter. She's my girl, my kind of girl, our girl, Michele Balan, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes.
With that buildup, I should kill myself now before somebody else, before bad things. And look who it is, TV's Frank. I haven't seen him in a while.
God, it's been so long.
It has been. My God. And I haven't seen you either, Irene.
I know, sweet girl. So how have you been? How's
I just got to say, you look more gorgeous every time I see you. Serious, right, Frank?
Absolutely.
Wow, so do you. You look incredible. And I have to say that I cannot believe, like, you were always really, really fit and always looked really beautiful. But
not anymore.
Your body, no. You've taken your body to a whole other level. That was what I was going to say. Like, you really work out.
No, I've taken my body to overweight now. You know, COVID. Yeah, I've taken my body to a way over level. And, you know, and it's so funny because I figured we have to leave the house soon, which I'm really not happy about. I might be the only one who loved the quarantine. Anybody else?
I know a few people who've said that. Yes. And I was just telling Irene, I'm having a hard time adjusting to going out when I'm allowed to go out. It was so comfortable to not have to go out and to actually be serving your country by being a shut-in.
Right, which is what we've always done. Well, Frank, you're a shut-in. You say that you're a shut-in. I felt like I didn't have any pressure to go out, which felt great.
That's what I loved about it.
Guilt-free. Yeah. Guilt-free.
Yes, that's how I felt.
Staying and doing what I love.
You know what? You hit it on the head, because now it's all of a sudden
pressure.
They opened a gym. They did this. I don't need this kind of shit. You know what I mean? It was like, because, we're home and we're not dealing with getting a spot in a comedy club. You're not fighting to get on. You're not doing, you know what? You go out, you have a little outside dinner, even with a coat on, who cared? And then, but there wasn't that pressure. You come home.
There wasn't that pressure. I couldn't agree more.
The city was so nice, too. The city was quiet. It was clean. It was. I heard the birds chirping out here. The birds chirping. They're like, who are those people? I'm so happy now. And you know what? It was a whole different. It's like if New York City was this way all the time, it'd be fabulous.
Yeah. I mean, Frank and I always talk about that, and Frank, I didn't mind the quarantine at all for those reasons, the pressure, the having to fight, the traffic, the spots, but also I love binge watching things. I love relaxing. Relaxation is my favorite thing to do. People ask me, what is it that you're really passionate about? I'm like, relaxing.
Sleeping. Yeah.
I know that's not ambitious, but yes, relaxing.
You know what? You and I, the same. Well, only you're younger and prettier. But
no, you're beautiful. Stop.
Oh, stop it. Look at it, Frank. We don't need you here.
I'm beautiful enough.
Hands where we can see them, Frank. Hands where we can see them.
Frank, you still have hair, so it's good. But it's true. It's so true. I'm glad you're with me on this, because I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? I'm almost like, don't get the vaccine yet. Wait a while. Because I really did enjoy that pressure of not having to, be out there and making sure I'm seen and making sure I'm booked for this. Yeah. It was like, I can't be. Everybody's home. I'm home with everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm watching. I thought Netflix was going to go, you're done with all the programming now. We got to move on. I loved it, because before this happened, I know I'm taking over this whole thing, but before this happened, I always felt guilty if I didn't do something. Did you? You stay in the house?
Yes, absolutely.
Guilt. And my voices would go, this is why things don't happen to you, you lazy. See, before, you're lazy, get out there. And now it's like, so relieving. I'm like.
But also, Michelle, I don't think it's even lazy, because you're hardly lazy. You're very hardworking. But it's almost like working, it sort of kind of felt like running, like we were talking about hamsters. So I'm going to bring the hamsters back, Frank. Like going in the wheel and running in the wheel, doing spots. What is it going to lead to? And I just, the pandemic had me thinking about, just how I can reset my whole career.
Right.
We're calling it, I use that term very fucking loosely. I use the word career, but I'm saying, just kind of working smart instead of spreading myself thin. Frank, did you find that you also had that pressure, sort of?
Yeah, I mean, but it's not an external pressure; it's an internal pressure of you've got to be out doing things. You've got to because if you stay at home, if you live inside your own head, you're going to become depressed, because that's happened in the past. So. But now, during the pandemic, for once, I was masturbating for a cause greater than myself.
You're rubbing one out for medicinal purposes, my friend.
Yes,
and there's something to be said about that.
That was difficult.
It keeps
too.
The COVID away.
Yeah, and it was hard too, because I was brought up Catholic, so all of my orgasms are shame-based. So for a noble reason was a change of pace.
Right. Yeah, I know. I feel you. It was hard for me too with Steve. I mean, I was giving him so many hand jobs, I'm going blind. That's why I wear these fucking glasses now. I can't see a goddamn thing. So,
but you know what? Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're our guest. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, about the coming out, and what I'm finding, I'm in a bit of a depression too, because all of a sudden you're let out and you're like, I don't know how to, it's like coming out of jail. I don't know how to, which my cousin just did. I'm seeing him this weekend. He finally got out of jail. But anyhow, real jail. So you're like, I don't know. And here's what happens, and Irene, you'll appreciate this. So I go around the corner. I'm around the corner from the New York Comedy Club. They're on 24th Street. I'm on 25th Street.
More pressure.
Yeah,
because you could walk there.
What? But here's the best. So I started that club with Al Martin. I did the first show at Gotham. I gave my gay pride show. And here it is. You can't get booked at any of these fucking clubs. The best is this girl that books New York Comedy Club, who's about 12. I don't know how old. She says to me, "Oh, we don't have room for new people." I want to say to her,
I know.
I was working here before you motherfucker was born. You know what
That's
I mean?
right, baby.
Can I curse? Because
yes, please. We love cursing. Me and Frank.
I was gonna I'm like, how disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of disrespectful. I'm doing this 30 years. I started with Al Martin with this club. I started the one he had on 40s. We started this together. Well, we can't fit in new people. Do you even know who I am? Do you? Not that I'm great, but at least
Did you tell this 12-year-old that you knew Jeff Ross before he married her? I mean, but you know what though? I've actually.
Wait, I know Jeff Ross when his name was Jeff Lipschultz.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's actually something that I've heard about. I've heard women comedians say that since clubs have opened up again, some clubs that used to book more women aren't booking them now, and they're kind of playing it safe, and they just want their male comedians.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard from a couple of sources that it's pretty hard now for women to get into clubs that they used to perform at.
Right, but not only that, and Frank, that is a good point. But what Michele is saying is that it's like what last week we had Frank Liotti on the show, who's going by Vig Liotti now because he's done with comedy. He went on and on about how he fucking hates comedy. Yeah. He's a gay male. He's not a woman. And he had the same conundrum. He was saying that, comedy has now become almost like the top 1%. It's really hard to get booked if you're not a working comic. They're using the same comics, especially.
And if you're over 40.
There's ageism. No one ever addresses the elephant in the room. Right. Okay. Ageism.
Mm-hmm.
There is ageism. And we've heard this be Frank and I with other guests, and now the clubs are especially hard up. So they're only booking comics that are well known that can get asses in the seats.
Right.
They're only booking the well-known sexual predators. I mean, now there's going to be one less spot for everybody now that Cosby is out.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about that shit. America's dad is a molester. I've never trusted a clean comic as long as I can fucking remember. And I am just
clean comics are always the ones who get into trouble, never the dirty ones.
Never the dirty ones. It's almost like they get it out of their system. You know what I mean? Masturbate once in a while so you don't have to molest, get married as a sex, it's like a crazy thing. But this is unbelievable what's happening with Bill Cosby, how they let him out. I mean, I'm so irate. I was so upset, Frank. We didn't discuss it at all, Michele. But when I found out they let him go, it was almost like just undoing anything the Me Too movement ever stood for. It was so free Britney and put fucking Bill Cosby behind bars.
Britney lost her case. She didn't get her father out of her. But Bill Cosby
something.
And it isn't even a question that he did what he did. It's
absolutely
some kind of legal technicality. That they're letting him out on. And
look at O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, and what a lot of people have said, and it's really true, is that, like when women now, when they come out with these rape accusations that happened a long time ago, people say, well, why didn't you come out then? Why didn't you come out? And it's like, because you can't fucking win, even if you do come out. Like what happens is your career ends. You can't work, and meantime the male predator gets off somehow and still gets to work.
It's this world. You're absolutely right, Frank. This world is set up. I mean, free Britney, put Cosby back in jail. This man absolutely violated like 60 women, black women, white women. This guy is a serial fucking rapist, and they let him go. I was literally so pissed.
Right.
I started throwing shit around the room. I couldn't believe that they let him go. And, you know, I'm so happy that people like Cannibal Buress saw it so long ago, the hypocrisy.
Yeah, wow.
That this man was, you know, even the way he said when he made that comment about pull your pants up. I don't know if anybody remembers that comment that he said, pull your pants up.
He said that kids, that's another thing about Cosby is he was such a scold.
Pretentious asshole.
A pretentious scold. And we talk about the young hip hop kids with their baggy pants. Exactly. And how disrespectful they were. And he was always such a phony, all of those sanctimonious people, and there's nothing but them in the Republican Party. All of those people are the ones that are doing twisted shit behind closed doors.
Always doing twisted shit.
Well, you know what? It's a fact. Celebrity and money always get, know. But if Bill Cosby was working in a supermarket, throw away the key and the other. But, when you have celebrity and you have money, you know how this world is.
And also when you're a fucking predator in your heart, I couldn't believe that Felicia Rashad actually came out and said, her tweet really shocked me. She said, finally, a terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected. I couldn't believe. Then she backpedaled and said that I fully support survivors of sexual assault coming forward. My post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth. Personally, I know from my friends and family that such abuse has lifelong residual effects. My heartfelt wish is for the healing. Now, this guy was let off because he was violated. And what about the women that have been violated by him?
Well, I think that Felicia Rashad, she felt that her Cosby Show residual checks had been they weren't coming anymore because of all this. They never show the Cosby Show anywhere. In fact, there's more proof. There's more proof that Cosby did what he did than there is that there was ever a show called The Cosby Mysteries. There's no evidence of that left.
That's so crazy. My question is, Frank, he fully acquiesced to the fact that he was actually giving these women quaaludes, right? Am I wrong on that? He said
the reason he got off is because, and I might not begin
to explain it
as best as I can. Is he made a deal with a lawyer who, by the way, ended up being Trump's defense lawyer in his impeachment, and he said, if you admit to this crime, you won't be. It'll be just for this one thing, and we'll let you off, and you won't get prosecuted for these other things. So he admitted to it, but then he got prosecuted anyway, and that's the technicality that got him off. So it's so ironic because the technicality is based on the fact that he so obviously did it and admitted to doing it. Yeah. And everybody knew he did it, and that's why we have to let him go.
Right.
I did love Quaaludes when I was young. I have to admit.
Yeah. Well, we all like Quaaludes. The only thing is that we didn't give it to somebody and then sit on top of it. Seriously, it's really unbelievable, and it's really, my first thought when I heard this was really sad. Is that women are going to say, why bother coming out? A lot of women are going to say,
there are women who are not going to come out, and also if you think that even with the whole Me Too movement, that there's been any lessening of sexual assault, I really doubt it. So it's really a terrible drawback or setback. It's a terrible setback for women who want to come forth with, or who might come forth with accusations. Now they're not gonna, because they've been discouraged in no uncertain terms from doing it.
Can I say something to that fact? It's like for years and years and years, when women were raped, they were the ones that were guilty.
Right.
Women were ripped apart who's going to go and sit in the courtroom and being like, you fucked somebody 12,000 years ago. You're why would I put myself through that?
Right.
So you just, because women, we're always wrong. You know what I mean? And let's face it.
Which these women were scrutinized, Michelle. Yeah. You're absolutely right. They were told, why were you in his house, especially knowing that he had a predacious demeanor, especially knowing that he liked to use drugs. It always circles back, and they blame the women.
You shouldn't have, you're right. Why did you go to dinner with him? Why did you wear those pants? Why did you you know what I mean? I had a crazy fantasy the other night. I know this is going to sound terrible, but that women was getting men off the jogging tracks, killing them, raping them, and just leaving them in bags on the side of the road. Let's see how many women will do that to men, where they're laying off. We found them in the water with a bag. We found them chopped up. How many times do you hear that about a woman doing that to a man? But on a regular basis, wives, girlfriends are killed. And you know what makes me, I know it's a whole other topic, but I think, how is it so easy to kill someone? How is it that easy?
So easy. Well, I'll tell you how it's so easy. You're fucking let off. That's how it's so easy. You get away with it. And that's what happened here. He systemically raped women. Yeah. He fucking drugged them and raped them. I mean, I was so upset, Frank. I was actually going to call Frank because I was dying inside. I literally died. I couldn't believe, because the week before we were on John's show and we were talking about this, and this really broadsided me. I couldn't believe that they let him off. And there's that right. There's that statute of limitations with the rape. I think they need to fucking get rid of that too. It doesn't matter when you do rape. Right. Rape is rape.
Rape is rape. That's, that says it right there. There's a statute of limitations for rape. But anything else, like murder, can last. Why? Is that not? Because men don't see that as a crime. It's not a crime. Rape is not a big crime. And so, if we don't get you right away,
they'll say it's not rape. Like, for instance, it was reported in one book that Donald Trump raped his second wife, or Ivana. Or
yes, that's right. I remember that. Frank.
He raped her, and she recanted the testimony, I think, because she was paid off and got a settlement or whatever. But he literally said in response, "If you're married, it's not rape." That's what people say. So
right, absolutely.
And those people do it, and this our country is and our media is run by either sexual predators or protectors of sexual predators. I mean, NBC wouldn't even air the Harvey Weinstein story when Ronan Farrow came to them with him, because they thought Harvey Weinstein had dirt on Matt Lauer. So they protected one rapist to protect their rapist.
That's right, because it's a house of card, Frank. Right. And one card's pulled.
Yeah.
And Les Moonves, who was head of CBS, and all of these kinds of people are the people literally running. And when Donald Trump was in office, we had a rapist, sexual predator, an admitted sexual assaulter, admitted it in office. And for the most part, the media didn't make that big a deal of it. The Access Hollywood tape was a big story for a week, and then it just went away.
But what's really his name? Billy Bush got fired.
Yeah, but he got his job back too.
He got his job back though. Yeah. He did. Yeah. He wasn't canceled.
And that's he wasn't ever canceled. If you're a man, like, if you fuck up, you get to have a redemption tour eventually. And then you get to come back in one form or another.
And reinvent yourself.
Yes.
Still a rapist, but not a rapist. You get to reinvent yourself. It's terrible. And then somebody like Britney Spears seriously can't get conservatorship. It's so upsetting.
Oh my God.
This girl is abused. When will it stop?
Yeah.
She was abused by her family, and also she was abused by the media. She was abused by comedians who frankly did all kinds of slut-shaming jokes about her. In the documentary they had about her, they had a whole montage of all the awful things Jay Leno said about her.
Jay Leno, right.
Yeah.
Ridiculing.
And someone like her, it used to be like in the early aughts, like there were all these VH1 and E! Entertainment shows where, Best Week Ever or whatever, where comedians would come on and, for no money, by the way, would snark about whatever celebrity was in the news. And, I can't, Britney, she's such a train wreck. What is it with her? She's shaving her head. She's out of control. And like all of this like judgmental slut shaming
Right.
bullshit, and it was very common. Just like
I know a lot of those comedians. That's what you did back then.
Like
it's not okay now.
Yeah.
Just like 10 years ago, it was like common and okay, and nobody questioned it. I'm glad. I'm glad, at least in terms of people's attitudes, that it has changed a bit.
Right. I think even those same comedians that did that would never even consider doing that nowadays. You know, she was obviously in a vulnerable place. I mean, John Travolta shaves his head. No one talks about it. Can a girl shave her head without judgment? No, God forbid, you know? So she's in this position now that she's a mother, she's an entertainer. And she can't even hire her own lawyer. Like, I was reading certain things that actually blew my mind when I kind of did a deeper dive into what's going on with her. It's unbelievable that this is going on, and it's just, it's such a contrast to how men are treated, with Bill Cosby seriously being left off after he's like drugging women and raping them. And she can't have conservatorship over her own life.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is amazing, disgusting. And then is her father suing her also? Is her father involved with suing her?
No, he just wants to hold on to his jackpot, of her income, but they force her to work in Vegas and stuff to keep.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever sign a contract?
Did you ever see Amy, the show, the documentary?
Yes, yes, I did see that.
No, I haven't.
She was begging to get sober and get clean. Her life was falling apart, but her father kept saying, no, one more concert, one more tour,
exactly.
one more. I mean, your father. Go ahead, one more. You know what? It's so sad that it's, look at Michael Jackson's father. The minute he didn't even care about his death, it was like, let's make a movie. You know what I mean?
Make a movie.
Yeah, let's make that movie.
I think they're doing something on Broadway, or when it reopens. I heard something.
Yeah, me
about
too.
Michael Jackson. We should just call this show The Bad Dads, okay?
Yeah.
With Bill Cosby. So we're running out of time, but I want to make sure that, and then of course we're going to end with the abuse of female comics. We'll end on that note. Michele, so I just want you to know before we end the show that I know exactly how you feel. There is that pressure, and that this is something that you're not alone with. I feel that, and I've spoken to other women that have felt that way too. But I always say what I try to do is, and Frank is really good at doing this, even though he's not a woman, he always stays busy and tries to stay prolific. We are in a position now with the way that the world is moving, and COVID actually made that even more possible, that we can create our own thing. You know what I mean? We can create our own, you can author a book or do a podcast or start working on your own stuff and have your own forum and platform.
Well, right now I am writing, I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but people like it, my memoir, because my life was crazy.
How's about not starting that way and just saying I'm writing my memoir and get rid of that other part? I don't know if it's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, well, you don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just doing it, and I always say, who's going to read about Michele Balan? Who gives a shit? But you know what? I'm doing it. People said you should do it. A psychic even said years ago to do it. So I'm doing it. But what do I have to live? I'll be dead soon. I'm 66 years old.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
In this August, about a month from now, I'm going to be a young man of 65. So
that's right, Frank. Someone older than you. Oh my God, Michele, you look incredibly beautiful for any age.
It's the lighting I have in here.
For any age.
Thank you. No, we got to see each other in person, because
we do have to see each other in person. And I also want to say that, when I first started doing comedy, it was many years ago. I've been doing comedy for like 21 years. You were already doing comedy. And when I met you, I was so inspired by you as a female comic.
Oh my God.
You were one of the women that when you got up on stage, you were fucking intrepid. You did not give a shit. You were balls out on stage, balls out. And you were a straight shooter. You were smart, but you were fearless, and you were vulnerable at the same time. And you were a huge inspiration to me.
Oh, thank you. That, you know what? That made my day. Because other than that, I was very depressed because I'm having issues. Because 12-year-olds.
Now you sound like Frank.
Yeah. Because 12-year-olds go, well, we can't fit you into this club. We just can't do it. So it's so hard. It's a hard world, and it's hard to stay.
I call them abortions with a sense of entitlement, and they can go fuck themselves.
That's so funny.
So what are you working on right now? So you're working on a book.
I'm working on the book, and I'm see if the cruises come back. Right now, I'm not in a big hurry to. Well, I will be once my unemployment runs out, but the cruises will come. Every other day they're coming, they're not coming, they're sick, they're going. Because I worked all these last couple of years on cruise ships.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you one thing: I've seen the world. My last cruise, you know where I was? Antarctic. Wow. I have been all over the world. I'm so blessed in that way. I've seen more countries and getting paid to do it. So when I complain, I have to say that to myself. Shut up. Shut up. Who cares about New York Comedy Club? You were just with penguins. You were with penguins, I have pictures of me and penguins. Shut up.
So what about your socials, sweetie? Plug your socials. You're amazing. I love you.
You know what? I try to do that. That's the thing about 66. I'm so confused. Every other day there's a new one. It's now TikTok, and then there's now
Clubhouse. No, I'm going to stop you right there. Frank just joined TikTok, and he's pretty much kicking ass. Frank, I know in a month you're going to have a lot of followers because that's
what are you doing on it? What do you do to get people?
I'm making videos where I talk to my cat. So.
Yeah.
Well, I got a cat. I adopted a cat for that reason, and nobody cares about mine. You know what's so funny? I said the other day, Jim Jones, I'm sure young people don't know who he is.
I remember him.
He got more people to drink poison Kool-Aid than I could get following me on Twitter. He got more people to drink poison than I could get, and I try, and it's just, I don't know what the algorithm is, right. Because I write funny things on there, and I'm like,
you're very funny. You're very funny. Like I said, was so inspired by you, still am. Absolutely love you.
Oh my God. I love you. Thank you.
Just keep creating. That's what I always say. I got that advice from other comics. The advice was just keep creating because that's what we do, and we're exactly where we should be. I kind of fucking fought back on that one, but it's starting to settle in a little. Frank, you're always...
As I always say, keep creating an excuse to not go out and do shit.
Yeah, I'm telling you. You know what? I'm thinking of cleaning houses, my own for starters, But I know it's like, I don't want to go out in that world. I don't want to go out in that world. Oh my God.
I keep creating excuses is like brilliant. And okay. Yes, I do that, Frank. Okay, fuck off. Yes, I do that.
Irene, I want to ask you, where can I see you? Where can I see you?
Oh, Jesus. Well, I mean, my Twitter, at Irene Bremis. No one gives a shit about mine either. At Irene Bremis on Instagram.
Yeah, me too.
And,
I'm Irene Bremis also. I'm Irene Bremis.
You're also Irene Bremis. Good. But I'm going to start going under the name Frank Conniff because he has a very padded Twitter following. Mr. Conniff?
He does.
I have a good Twitter following, a small TikTok following, and I'm banned on Facebook. So that's where my...
Frank, could you at least mention me and Irene with all of your Twitter? Say, today I was with the funny Michele Balan.
He always does. He'll totally do it. Frank is the best. He has that's Frank right there. I love you, Frank.
We used to
always plugging
John Fugelsang show together, and he's just a brilliant man.
He's a brilliant man.
I miss it. You were always such a great guest on that show.
What show? On Fugelsang's?
On Michelle on
No, I wasn't. Stop it, you two. I don't know what you.
Can you fucking take a compliment for a second?
I think you guys are both drinking that Kool-Aid. I don't understand what's going on over there. You don't get out enough.
I drink diet poison Kool-Aid.
Yeah, he does. He drinks diet poison, and I drink a lot of caffeine. So I love you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You're awesome.
My pleasure. I will come back whenever you want.
We will have you back.
Nothing going on, so please, I want to come back.
We'll get together in person somewhere.
Yeah, I would love that.
I would love to do that. I'm actually going to send Frank a new date as soon as we're done with this show to hang out. Get him away from the cat. We're just going to go out somewhere. And if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join us. Okay. It's gonna be like in the next week.
Please. And Irene, if you're going to be at a club or something somewhere, let me know. I'd love to come and see you.
I will. I actually am going to be at, Broadway Comedy on the 29th and Stand Up New York on the 20th. Come down, hang out with me. I would love to see you. And we can hang out and
I was at Broadway.
Whoever's booking the show.
I was at Broadway, but you know what's so funny? I hate to, when you were saying, I thought you were going to say New York Comedy Club. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Because she's the one who won't let me go. But if you were going to say, I'm going to start.
Why don't you come down? You should come down and hang out with me. Do it.
I was at Broadway last night. Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
See, but it makes sense because you live there. It's hard for me to get there, unless it's I'm coming from Staten Island. It's like another.
Is that where you are?
Yeah, I'm in.
Well,
Staten
I'm always
Island.
lower east. I'm east and over. It's not easy to get there. I mean,
right.
harder than easier than you, but you don't
Yeah,
know upper west. And I mean, where that is and where I live, it's a schlep.
Yeah, it's a schlep. That's true.
Yeah.
And it's a schlep. It's like Frank says, we're always creating excuses. Frank, I love that. That's priceless. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Conniff. You know
Frank,
that I
good
love
to see you again, honey.
And we'll see you next show.
I hope so. You guys are great. Thank you.
Follow us at Mother May I Podcast on Instagram. Love you guys.
Okay, I'm going to follow that. Sure. I'm Michele Balan. I have 12 followers. So if you could.
Okay, bye,
Bye,
you
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Guys, bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Check us out next week when Frank and Irene sit down with, you know what? I don't know what these two are going to do next, but we'll see you next week.